Now,
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Sushil Deshmukh, and I am from Sudrishti Eye Care Goregaon Glaucoma Center. I am the director of this hospital, and I also head Lotus Eye Hospital, Juhu, the glaucoma department. Today, we are going to speak about protecting and taking care of your eyesight on the occasion of World Sight Day. This is an awareness program which we want to go to most of our patients and all the general public so that they are aware of how to take care of their eyes in a better manner. So let's start with the presentation. So firstly, we'll see what's the importance of vision. It's an important sensory organ. Vision is a window to the world. With vision, we can connect with others. With vision, we feel the happiness. And that's why eyes are called a vision to our soul. It's an expression that is often used. 80% of our memories are determined by what we see, and even the visual memories will stay with us for years together. Even in an unconscious mind, you can recollect your memories. That's why the vision is very important. Next. Rahul. Next slide, please. So let me give you a brief about the World Sight Day. World Sight Day is an annual global event which draws attention on blindness and vision related impairment. The objective is to create awareness about the eye care, vision blindness, and treatment involved in curing eye impairments. This day focuses on drawing attention to leading causes of blindness or visual impairment like cataract, glaucoma, refractive errors, and the other common eye diseases. So the first most essential thing in this is to understand what are the different diseases possible in an eye and how can we better take care of those. So we'll go one by one. Next slide. If we see the statistics about the visual problems, almost globally 2.2 billion people have an unaddressed vision impairment or blindness. Out of this, 1 billion people have vision impairment which could be avoided or yet is to be addressed. So 1 billion is avoidable blindness which could easily be taken care if you are aware of that. 2% approximately of Indian population is blind as of today as per a recent survey. 1.1 million people are cornea blind, and out of this, to address this problem of corneal blindness, you require almost 1 lakh corneal transplants annually in India. Out of this 1 lakh corneal transplant, we are able to meet only 25,000 corneal transplant in a year. This mainly is due to inadequacies of the available tissues. The number of eye donations which happen have much better as compared to the previous years, but still way far lagging behind the demand which is there. And with the increasing industrialization and various outdoor activities and high risk occupations, the number of corneal causes for corneal transplant are day to day increasing. So I will not be surprised if this requirement of 1 lakh corneal transplant increases further in the next 1 decade. So more and more awareness about eye donation, which is absolutely safe and without any risk involved, is the time as of today is the most important eye related awareness which is required. Next slide. So let's see what's the difference between a sight and a vision. So sight is physical. It's a sensory experience in which the light reflects off the object and the eyes then focuses this light. So these signals are sent to the brain through the optic nerve and are converted into an image. Now vision is how the brain or the mind interprets this image. So the physical connection and transportation of vision, the vision from the eyes to the brain is the vision, and once it is recognized, the interpretation of that is known as the vision. So sight till the time it reaches the brain, and then the visual interpretation is called a vision. Sight allows a person to witness an event, but the vision helps in understand the significance of and draws interpretation. Hence, protecting your eyes and your sight is highly important so that you may avoid any harm to your ability to perceive vision. Next slide. So you can see this cut section of the eye which explains us the basic anatomy. The eye anatomy is divided into two parts. The front part of the eye, you can see the lens in the center. The part anterior to this lens is the anterior part of the eye, and the part behind this lens is called the posterior part of the eye. The anterior part of the eye is the cornea, the anterior segment, which is the anterior chamber, and the lens. And behind the lens is your vitreous, which is supporting internally the retina in the choroid. The outer structure is the sclera, which gives the structural integrity to the eye. Now the light has to pass through all this media, that is the cornea, the lens, the vitreous, and then fall onto the retina so as to form an image on the retina. So all these medias are necessarily needed to be clear so as to have a good vision. We'll go to the next slide to understand the various different diseases that we have. So coming to the common eye problem, the common eye problem could be different in children or older people, and the most common of them are the refractive errors, that is the requirement for glasses, dry eyes, digital eye strain. So in this today's era of corona pandemic and working from home and digital tuitions and classes and schools, everything on the digital platform, there's a lot of cases with digital eye strains. Then allergic conjunctivitis, color blindness or night blindness. Next. So we'll go step by step. First, we'll take common diseases in the children. In children, you have lazy eyes or amblyopia, strabismus or squint, and ptosis. We'll go one by one in age later on. In the older age group, we have presbyopia, that is age-related requirement for near vision glasses, cataract, which is graying or opacification of the transparent lens which we have naturally so that the vision gets blurred. Glaucoma is a condition wherein there is progressive loss of your visual fields because of the increased pressure in the eye, age-related macular degeneration, and diabetic retinopathy. Now, apart from presbyopia and cataract, which are age-related natural aging processes, glaucoma and diabetic retinopathy is the problem of this decade, is the problem of the developing countries, and this remains the most challenging part that we have to address. These are very, very easily treatable if they are detected in time. That's why the emphasis of getting screened at a correct time. The WHO recommends that after the age of 40 years, once in 2 years, everyone should get an eye checkup done from an ophthalmologist so that in case there is any developing eye problem due to the aging process, we can detect it at a correct time and it can be arrested then and there. Both glaucoma as well as diabetic retinopathy, if they have progressed to very severe stages, then it's more of a damage control rather than enhancing the vision. That's why the emphasis on correct time that you should get your regular eye checkups done. Next slide. Okay. So amongst the refractive errors or the requirement for glasses, myopia remains the most common cause. Myopia is a condition wherein the image is from in front of the retina. So in the diagram, you can see in the normal eye, the image is formed right onto the retina, and then we can have a crisp and clear image and a vision. In myopia, usually because of the longer eyeball, the image forms in front of the eye, in front of the retina, and that's why we are not able to see the distant objects very clearly. So the symptoms are usually seen in childhood itself between the age of 8 to 13 years of age. This is the common age wherein there is a growth spurt or pubertal spurt. This is also the time that the eyeball grows very rapidly, and there could be myopia development. There could also be associated with squinting or headache. Treatment is very simple. You need to get your eyes checked frequently, especially in this growing age. There is an emphasis on school detection, wearing of regular glasses. There are other options of contact lenses at a little older age group. And after the age of 18 years, once the growth has completely stabilized, it can be taken care by LASIK surgery. Next common cause of glasses is the hyperopia, wherein your eyeball is smaller than usual, and so the image forms behind the retina. Here, usually, it is in younger age group, the muscles try to compensate it. So a lot of people are not aware of the presence of hyperopia in less than 30 years of age, but they do come frequently with headaches and troubled reading of near words. On detection, when you realize that they have hyperopia, that is a plus number glasses which are required, they are usually prescribed with glasses and they do well. Again, contact lenses or surgery is another option, but they are not as happy as compared to the myopia people with the laser operations. The correct choice for these people is usually the glasses or the contact lenses. Next. Amblyopia is a very daunting problem in childhood eye diseases. Amblyopia or lazy eye is a condition which is developed because of having a difference of refractive error in both eyes. Let's go in a simple manner in it. It is an early childhood condition in which the child's eyesight does not develop as it should in one eye. When a patient has amblyopia, the brain focuses on one eye more than the other eye and virtually ignoring the lazy eye. I'll give you an example. If my right eye has got a -1 of a power and my left eye has got a -6 of a power. So with -6, my vision is going to be very blur. And with the -1, my vision is going to be little blur, but it is much more clearer as compared to the left eye. So my brain decides to use only the right eye, which is the clearer vision, and not to use the left eye, which is the dull vision. This gives rise to the brain center being depressed. So now the brain doesn't want to use your left eye because it is blur and it is confusing it to fuse both the images together. So it keeps using my right eye and it depresses the left eye. This condition of lazy eye is treatable till the time the brain is active and the brain is developing. That's why the treatment of amblyopia is amenable only to the age of say 14 or 15 years of age. That's why the importance of getting the eye tested every 1 or 2 years in the school going kids, so that if there is such condition, we can give them correct glasses, we can prescribe them glasses, we can give them contact lenses. And if the disease is already present quite significantly, we will have to patch the good eye. So in my example, when I gave you the right eye has a small number and the left eye has a big number, we will have to patch the right eye so that the brain is forced to use the left eye and it picks up with time. So this is called as a patching, which is to be done around 3 to 4 hours in a day whenever you're doing activity like homework, drawing, painting, seeing television. So your left eye is forced to do the activity so that the brain revives with time. Amblyopia can be diagnosed as late as 2 to 3 years of age, and sooner the diagnosis, easier is the treatment and faster is the recovery. After the age of 10 to 11 years, the recovery is very slow and at a questionable magnitude. It may not recover 100% after the age of 12 years. Next. Astigmatism is a third kind of refractive error where the glasses are required. Here, normally the cornea is in round shape, but in some people by birth, the cornea is slightly oblong. So instead of having a round shape of cornea, it is little oblong, and the vertical meridian is not as curved as the horizontal meridian. So you might require a cylindrical number, this causes lot of asthenopic symptoms. Asthenopic symptoms means it can cause eye strain, it can cause headache. Commonly, even when you have very small numbers, but you are working on electronic medias, they will give you headache, they will give you eye strain, and even a small cylindrical power of 0.5 or a 0.75 is considered significant and is requires to the glasses to be worn all throughout the day. The treatment, as with the other refractive errors, is very simple: glasses, contact lenses, or refractive error. Now, this is a kind of refractive error where all three modalities of treatment have a very good outcome, and hence glasses or contact lenses or a refractive error could be considered very easily in this. Very high astigmatism, the contact lenses are not very comfortable. So in those cases, we will have to consider a glasses or a refractive surgery, that is the LASIK. Next. Coming to the fourth most common cause in the childhood is the strabismus or the squint. Squint means that both your eyes are not aligned in a straight manner. One, while looking straight, is straight, but the other one is either inturned, which is esotropia, or outturned, which is exotropia. Now, this is commonly because of imbalance in the muscle action. This muscle actions could be because of various reasons. It could be a muscle dysfunction, it could be a farsightedness, it could be traumatic, or rarely there is some genetic role in it. There are some syndromes which are associated because of genetic inheritance. Now, symptoms are blurry vision, double vision, headache, excessive squinting, which is apparently a cosmetic blemish. Treatment is initially, if there is glasses which is the cause of this, we can give glasses, we can give them some muscle exercises to strengthen the muscles. And if these don't work, then usually surgery is required. In almost 70%, I can say around at least 70% of the squints, they do not resolve by any other measure, and commonly they require surgical treatment. Next. Do not have a misconception in the mind that my kid is so small, how can he require a surgery at such an age? See, you have to understand, unless the eyes are perfectly aligned and they are straight, they will not start picking up the vision, and it permanently will go into a lazy eye, and later on the vision will not improve. So squint surgeries are safe in even as small as 3 to 5 years of age. Depending upon the condition, the doctors might weigh out the risk and advise you to even consider a surgery at an early age. But if it is not too severe and not depriving the vision in that eye, surgery after 5 years of age is very, very safe. Next. Ptosis or droopy eyes. This is a condition wherein your muscles which elevate your lid margins when you close and open are not completely developed. So there is no power in your muscles to keep your eyes pulled up. So your eyes will start to droop. So ptosis is a medical term for drooping of the upper eyelid, which may affect one or both eyes. The droop may cover the eye slightly or entirely, blocking the visual field. So once it is severe, as in this case, you can see the left eye, the center of the eye is getting covered. So this will deprive the vision to the kid. So it becomes again a very important condition to be treated with within a good time, so that the vision is not deprived to that eye. If the ptosis is not completely covering the center of the eye, it is not impairing with the vision, then the correction of the ptosis is more of a cosmetic thing, which could be done at a later on date also. The moment it is involving the center of the pupil, it requires an urgent surgery to correct it. So children may need treatment such as surgery or even temporary crutches with glasses and all. Next is the corneal ulcers that can happen because of trivial traumas with some vegetative material like a leaf or a haystack, or even a foreign body while working on machines, or because of unhygienic condition. It can sometimes happen because of just a small trivial eye rubbing injury also. These are often caused by infections or an injury through which the infection happens, also called as keratitis. The symptoms are redness, feeling that something is there in the eye, thick discharge or pus, pain when you blink your eyes, swollen eyelids, or a round or white spot on the cornea. Any white spot, we see a lot of patients who come with white spots being there for a month or two, and they come only when they increase a lot. Any white spot on the eye is a cause of concern, and you should go and show the doctor immediately. Causes could be bacterial, viral, fungal, or parasitic. The commonest ones are the fungal in India, because of a lot of agricultural activities and fungus in the dried agricultural produce. Bacterial and viral. Parasitic, not very common, but in contact lens users, acanthamoeba amoeba is a parasitic infection which is a concern. So the word of caution for the contact lens user is that if you're using contact lenses, the hygiene should be very meticulous, and you should take care that they are cleaned every day and night whenever you wear it and remove it. Treatments are medications, usually a little daunting course. It takes at least 15 to 20 days for an corneal ulcer to heal, because the cornea is essentially deprived of blood vessels, which aids in healing. Here, because the blood vessels are not there, the healing is slow. And if this healing doesn't happen as per the expectation, then a surgery also could be required to replace the infected cornea. Next. Conjunctivitis, or the pink eye, which is the commonest problem that the general population knows. It's also called as a sore eye, or in Marathi, in Mumbai, we call it as dole aale. So this pink eye, or the conjunctivitis, is the inflammation of the white part of the eye, the transparent membrane called the conjunctiva. The small blood vessels in the conjunctiva become inflamed and red, and that's why the eye appears to be pink. Pink eye is commonly caused by a bacterial or a viral infection, or it could rarely even be because of the allergic reactions. Though pink eye can be irritating, it rarely affects the vision, so the vision remains clear. Treatment can help in easing the discomfort of the pink eye. The viral infections are self-remitting, so they die out within around 8 to 10 days, but sometimes they do require treatment, without which they can leave behind sequelae like spots on the cornea, and your vision can start to get blurred. So prevention is the most important point over here. Good eye hygiene is important. Now in this times of corona pandemic, we are aware of all kind of hygienes, and we are also been told that not to touch your face, not to touch your eyes, not to touch your mouth, and not to touch your nose too much, because your fingertips are the source of all the infections. All the nail beds of your fingertips harbor all the bacteria and viruses, and whenever you rub your eyes frequently with your fingertips, that is the time that you transfer the infection to your eye. So not to touch your eyes too much. Wash your hands often, use a clean towel and washing cloth daily. Do not share your towels and personal eye care. Treatment is usually focused on symptomatic relief. It could have a lubricating eye drops, the artificial tears, and rarely, if the infection is severe, we could also give them some comforting medicines in the form of mild antibiotic and mild steroids. But in most cases, as it is viral, no antibiotics are usually required. Next. Cataract. Cataract is commonly or synonymous to the age-related eye problem. If in an aging population, the vision is decreased, it is taken for granted that it is cataract, because 80% of these problems are because of cataract. Cataract, or motiabind as it is commonly called in India, happens to be the most common cause of treatable blindness. This is the important statement to tell you that it is 100% treatable and curable. So do not get worried or affected once the doctor tells you that you have a cataract. It is as simple as your hair growing gray with age. Your lens in the eye is bound to grow white with age. In some people it could be at 50, 60. In some people it can be at 70, 80. The age doesn't matter. At some point of time when it goes gray or white, it is called as a cataract. So cataract is the clouding of the normal clear lens, which you can see on the right side. The photograph shows a normal vision. Once you develop a cataract, the same photograph will be appearing as a blurred photo, which is the blurry vision. So seeing with cataract is like seeing through a frosty or a fogged up window. Symptoms are blurred vision, colored halos, problem seeing in the night, problem seeing with a bright focus of light coming from the front, faded colors, frequent change of contact lenses or glasses. There could be various causes, and in today's world we have lot of pollution, lot of environmental pollutants in your food, in the air that you breathe. So all of this, in a matter of aging, they will cause early cataracts in lot of population. With our forefathers used to have cataracts at 70s and 80s. Now it is not very uncommon to see cataracts in the ages of 40s, late 40s and 50s. The common causes are someone who has to use steroids over long time, high exposure to ultraviolet lights, poor nutrition, smoking, or any form of tobacco intake. Prescription of glasses are usually done in the early stages of cataract, but very soon a stage is reached where the glasses are not going to be of any more help, and then the cataract has to be considered. It all depends on the type of occupation or professional requirement of vision that you have. If you are driving, if you're working on computer, you require a crisp and clear vision for your work. Even cataract surgery might be required as the first stage of treatment for you without going on changing the glasses. Next slide. So when is the correct time to consider a cataract surgery? The moment the blurry vision is impeding your day-to-day activity. Now this day-to-day activity could be very different for a housewife, or very different from for a retired age-old grandmother or a grandfather, and very different for a young individual who is working on PC, driving at night. So it is very individualistic, but the good part is that with age, in today's world, the technology of cataract surgery has become so fantastic. It is almost like a small 15 to 20 minutes of a procedure, and very safe, happening to a small 2 millimeters of an incision. You should not delay a cataract surgery. The moment it starts affecting your vision, which is impeding in your nature of work, is the correct time for a cataract surgery. Waiting for the cataract to get ripe or completely mature and then going for a surgery is just inviting for a trouble. Why would you wait for any condition which is not going to get corrected with waiting? It is not advisable to wait to increase it and then tackle the complications. So once you are reasonably affected by the cataract, your vision is not sufficient for you to continue with your daily office work or any other day-to-day activities, you should go ahead for a cataract surgery. Next. So what happens during the cataract surgery? Essentially, a small opening is made into the cornea. Then we make a circular opening in the anterior capsule of the lens, which gives us access to the cataract. Then we use a phacoemulsification energy to make a small pieces of this intraocular lens. Now, if you see the intraocular lens it's as big as the eye, which is around 13 millimeters, and the machines enter into the eye through a 2 millimeter opening. Then they make small pieces of the cataract within the eye itself and suck it out. So by virtue of these machineries, we are able to take out the cataract surgery through a small opening of 2 millimeters, and we do not require to open the eye too large, as was the case earlier. And then it used to require a 1 month of a recovery time, patching, dark glasses, sitting in dark rooms, and all those things. Today's technology is advanced, which will make you immediately able to see without having to wear any covered dark glasses. And that's why nowadays we use transparent glasses. The surgeries are done just by putting drops. In most of the cases, you may not require even an injection to the eye. They have become very comfortable for patients, but they still remain to be surgery, and the importance of surgery cannot be neglected. Healing generally occurs within the first 4 to 6 weeks, and you're back to normal the vision is absolutely crisp and clear by 1 week's time, but the drops continue for a month and the healing process is complete by 1 month's time. Next slide. Glaucoma remains the second most important cause, and unfortunately the loss of vision due to glaucoma is irreversible. Glaucoma is also called as Kala Motia or in the North India, or Jhamar in Gujarati, or Kazbindu in Marathi. This happens due to buildup of the pressure inside the eye. The normal eye pressure is around 10 to 20. If the pressures increase beyond this limit, they start to damage the weakest part of the eye, which is the optic nerve behind. So once this optic nerve starts to get damaged, you can see in the diagram on the right side, the visual field will start progressively getting constricted. It is a painless and a progressive loss of vision. You will not have any other symptoms, and that's why it is called as a silent thief of sight. You will not be aware of this condition unless you go and get your eyes checked and it is noted that you are developing a glaucoma. Okay. So the risk factors are age above 50 years of age, having a family history of glaucoma, having certain medical conditions like diabetes, blood pressure, heart disease, being extremely nearsighted or farsighted. So if you have thick glasses for whatever reason, you could be at risk of glaucoma. If you're taking any form of steroids for bronchial asthma, if you're taking a pump, you're applying any steroid ointment for any skin infection, or if you're taking any anabolic steroids for any bodybuilding purposes, this could all be very high risk factors for developing glaucoma. The diagnosis is entirely made by checkup and a few tests which will tell us the level of damage. So unless you go and get your eyes tested comprehensively from an eye doctor, you may not be aware that there is a glaucoma existing in your eye. Only when it advances and involves the central vision, that is the time when you will appreciate that there is something wrong with the vision. So again, the emphasis on regular eye checkup and detecting the glaucoma at an early stage. Next slide. The diagnosis is done by this all tests: the tonometry, which checks the pressure of the eye; gonioscopy, which tells us whether the angle of the eye wherein the fluid flows out is open or it is blocked; and the perimetry test, which tells us the amount of the visual field which is damaged because of the increased pressure. All these tests will comprehensively tell us the level of glaucoma damage which is there in your eye, and then we can start treating you. The treatment is individualized for every patient depending upon the level of damage and the type of glaucoma that you have. Suppose if you have an angle closure wherein the angle is blocked, it requires the angles to be opened by doing a small laser procedure in the periphery of your eye, which will open up the angle and then allow the fluid to flow out safely. If the angles are open and still the pressures are increasing with age, it requires control of the pressure with very good quality of anti-glaucoma medications now available. If after using of these medications also the pressures remain to be high and they are not controlled, then the surgeries are available to control the pressure. Next. Next slide. So as we discussed, the treatment part is not very difficult in most of the cases wherein the damages could be early. It usually starts with the eye drops. They can easily decrease the eye pressure by improving how the fluid drains from the eye. And depending upon how lower your eye pressure should be, the doctor could select on a single or a combination or 2 or 3 medications to control the pressure. If the drops are not able to control the pressure, then you have laser therapies or the surgeries. Surgeries have different types of surgery. The commonest ones are the filtering surgery, or called as trabeculectomy. And if the damage is extremely advanced, or if the damage is because of some complicated conditions of the eye, they usually require drainage tubes or glaucoma drainage devices. Minimally invasive glaucomas are the newer modalities of glaucoma treatment which are now available, which doesn't compromise on your conjunctival health, and we can protect the conjunctiva for a future requirement of a bigger surgery. Next step. Next slide. Age-related macular degeneration after cataract, glaucoma, diabetes, then age-related macular degeneration is the commonest cause which affects the aging population. Now, as we understand, it's a degeneration which happens in the aging. So macular degeneration is also known as ARMD, a medical condition where loss of central vision or appearance of a black scotoma or a black spot in front of your eye happens. And in some cases, if neglected and left untreated, it could lead to complete blindness. This is the fourth most common cause of blindness after cataract, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, then the age-related macular degeneration. People find it hard to recognize faces, or while driving, they cannot see a particular aspect of the picture, that is the signal or something which is in front of your windscreen. They are not able to see. Visual hallucination also can happen and typically happens in older people. There are two types of ARMD, dry, which is 90% of the cases, and 10% of the cases when they progress, they are called as a wet ARMD, wherein there is a swelling in the retina. But the most important point again over here is if it is detected in this 90% of these cases and being monitored regularly, we can avoid blindness by not letting the wet ARMD steal away your vision. Risk factor here is hereditary. Smoking is a very big risk factor, and obesity is also an important risk factor. Next slide. So diagnosis essentially involves taking a photography of your retina and a scan of the retina. The scanning of the retina is called as optical coherence tomography, which has become a very important tool in today's practice of ophthalmology. So now, without an OCT correct diagnosis, the amount of affection and the modality of treatment cannot be perfectly titrated for the patient. So OCT is mandatory. OCT will tell us the amount of damage which is there, what is the treatment which is going to be required, and what is going to be the prognosis in the future. So when you take the treatments, which are usually the injections or the tablets in the early stages, and in later stages, it is usually the injections or could even require some form of an implants. Other test which is required is the fundus fluorescein angiography, similar to the angiography done for the heart condition. Here for the eye condition also, to see how much is the swelling over there, how much is the leakage happening, and from where is the leakage happening. We need to do the angiography of the retina, which will tell us whether the lesions are wet, they are leaking, and how much is the affection. Next slide. This remains a very important cause, especially in Asian countries and most important in India, diabetic retinopathy. Now, India is being termed as the diabetic capital of world because of the population load that we have and the dietary habits that the Indian people have, predominantly a starch-rich diet. Diabetic retinopathy is pretty common. So in a healthy eye where the blood vessels supply nutrition to the eye, in a diabetic eye, along with this nutrition, because of increased leakiness of these vessels, they could have protein deposits, they could have sugar deposits, and they could have fluid collections in the retina. And that is where your vision will start having loss of some aspect of vision in your field of vision, or gradual decrease in your vision. Next step. Symptoms could be spots or dark strings floating in front of your eye, blurred vision, fluctuating vision, impaired color vision, dark or empty areas in front of your eyes. Risk factors or duration of diabetes. Now we see a lot of patients who come to us and say, oh, I am a diabetic, but my sugars have always been in control. Irrespective of whether they are under control or not, once the diabetes is there for more than 7 to 8 years, the likelihood of you developing diabetic retinopathy is higher. Most important point along with this is, along with the duration, the control is also important. So if your control has been not good, Even with shorter duration of diabetes, you could develop symptoms. Poor control of blood sugar level is a very important factor for progression. High blood pressure and cholesterols along with diabetes is another risk factor, and tobacco use is a very important risk factor. So the treatment generally involves two-pronged strategy. On one side, you have to keep your sugars controlled. The physician, the treating diabetologist will keep your sugars controlled so that it further doesn't aggravate with uncontrolled sugars. And on the other hand, whatever problem we have at hand, if the diabetes has already started to affect the retina, that needs to be treated. Now, how do we treat this? We will see. Next slide. Okay. So the diabetic treatment usually entitles either some form of lasers if the diabetes is very advanced, or if there is swelling in the retina, it requires antivascular endothelial growth factor injections to control the swelling in the center of the retina, which is affecting your vision. So what exactly is the treatment required has to be individualized, and the doctor will discuss that with you in detail. Now, the new age problems are the eye strain because of lot of digital gadgets being used, the laptops, the computers, the mobile screens, the e-book readers, the Kindles, and the list goes on and on. Everything has shifted to digital, but somehow we are not able to adjust to so much of digital eye strain. The term eye strain describes a group of symptoms which occurs in some people after extended use of the eyes on the digital platform. Although eye strain can be uncomfortable, it may not lead to any eye damage permanently. Extended computer or other devices like mobile phone, gaming, etc., used with inadequate or excessive lighting may cause eye strain. In this pandemic, I have especially seen a lot of people using lots of computers, seeing web series and movies on the computers, playing games on the Xbox without any limit, and landing up into severe eye strain. Although eye strain can be annoying, it is usually not serious and goes away once you take care of your eyes by giving adequate rest and following the 20-20-20 formula frequently. Now, this 20-20-20 formula is very important, which entitles every 20 minutes you should take 20 seconds of a break. During this 20 seconds, you blink your eyes 15 to 20 times. Look at any distant faraway object, preferably if you have a window in your room, look outside a window and then come back to the screen again. So if you keep following this, the amount of digital eye strain that you get towards the end of the day will significantly reduce. Although you may not be able to change the nature of your job or all the factors that can cause the eye strain, you can definitely take this important 20-20-20 exercises and other steps to reduce the eye strain. Next step. So the overexposure can harm the eye by causing blurred vision, double vision, eye irritation, burning sensation, or watery eyes. It can also cause redness, intense headache, feeling of disorientation, and difficulty in focusing. Sometimes the headache can be so intense that the patients have already considered doing an MRI for an headache. They come in with your MRI reports and you give them a simple diagnosis of dry eyes. So the symptomatology can vary vastly depending upon the level of eye strain that you have. And as we discussed, the treatment is simple. The most important is to learn how to tackle with the increased use of the eye on a digital platform. So you have to give adequate rest, blink frequently, and take care of the hydration. Next slide. So as we discussed, there's a huge increased usage of digital devices in the COVID-19 situation, which is mandatory. I mean, you cannot have physical interaction, you cannot have physical schools, physical meetings. So most of the things are through digital platform. Out of this, news on TVs accounted to almost 57% of the cause for digital eye strain, which could be easily be avoided. You need not to catch on to every show of news channel. you can have a gist of it at the end of the day and decrease the amount of exposure to digital medias. Chatting, social medias, smartphone usage, and video on demand, the web series and the Xboxes have also increased the demand significantly. Next slide. So digital eye strain will impact on your daily lives. It causes difficulty in reading. It can happen through cleaning and dusting exercises. It can happen through working on laptop or desktops. It can happen by even the shopping for groceries. So there are a lot of day-to-day activities which are contributory factors to the eye strain and dry eyes. Continuous use of ACs, having inadequate sleep, continuous use of mobiles and digital platforms remain the most important cause for the eye strain. Next slide. So you have to follow this. The part of it we have discussed, the 20-20-20 formula. The other practices: keep the digital media at least 25-inch away from your eye. Do not keep it very close to your eye so that your eyes don't have to focus it too strongly. Decrease the brightness. I always tell my patients to decrease the brightness to 30 to 40%, not more than that, and increase the contrast to increase the clarity of the screen. Wash your eyes regularly, especially in the morning. You should use the nighttime settings to decrease the amount of glare associated with a digital screen. Turning off the lights is not good. You should keep some background illumination on whenever you're working on the laptop or this thing, so that the glare is not too much. You can decrease the brightness of the screen so as to make it softer for you. And blink as frequently as possible whenever you're working on monitor. Now there are reminders which are put by some corporate companies that every 20 minutes they flash on their screen to remind you to blink your eyes. So this is because with this amount of digital exposure, the productivity has been seen to decrease significantly. So the loss of working hours is significantly higher amount if you don't follow this 20-20-20 rule. So it is in the benefit of the employee as well as the employer that you keep practicing this so that you don't get tired and you don't stop working. Next slide. So again, I'll just it out by saying that there is a very important need for regular eye checkups, as we discussed all throughout in most of the conditions. If you do a regular eye checkup and the conditions are picked up at a very early stage, we can arrest it then and there and prevent it from affecting your vision. Once it starts affecting the vision, in most of the conditions, it remains a damage control and a tedious process of treatment, but still we do not get 100% satisfied vision out of it. So the idea is to pick it up in the earlier stages and prevent the severe forms from developing. So the dictum or the bottom line is to have a regular checkups, which will help you early detection of eye disease and help them treat better. When to do an eye test? Children between the 3 to 5 years of age should go for a comprehensive eye checkup or the first eye checkup. If there are no symptoms or family history of the eye diseases, once every 1 to 2 years is good. The recommendation is at least one checkup every 2 years. In adults, every 5 to 10 years between the age of 20 to 30, every 2 to 4 years between 40 to 55, 1 to 3 years between 55 to 64, and 1 to 2 years after that. Now a simple dictum is that after 40 years of age, every 2 to 3 years, rather than just getting your glasses checked from an optical store, if you can get this done from a eye doctor, that will help you identify many problems in time. So keep it simple, get your eyes checked once in 2 to 3 years from an eye doctor and be aware of your eye health. Next stage. Next slide, please. Yeah. So that's gets us to the eye pledge. So that is to take a pledge to donate your eyes and light up a life. We discussed a very important condition called as a corneal blindness, which requires a transplant. Unless you donate your healthy eyes and let other people see through your eyes even after you die, this scenario will not change. Corneal blindness can be addressed only by transplanting a clear cornea of a healthy eye who has died of an unfortunate condition. So, even when we die, we can still allow our eyes to be of some benefit for others to live a good, clear vision for the rest of their life. So, help the visually impaired to see the beauty of life even after our lives are over. So, let's at least all of us take a pledge that at least we should work towards making more and more corneas available for these needy patients. Next slide. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. I'll again summarize my message through this is the most important need is for regular once in 2 to 3 years eye checkup from an ophthalmologist or an eye doctor, and let's make an effort towards pledging our eyes for a corneal donation. Thank you.